In this video, I'm going to show you the two best golf swing leg work drills ever. You'll be hard-pressed to find two better. So these two leg work swing drills will cure all common swing flaws, for the most part, within reason. So I'm giving you a picture of each of them right here. This is called the lateral lunge driver drill. This one's called the squatting driver drill. At first glance, if you've never seen them before, you could easily dismiss it out of hand. That would be a mistake on your part. You likely set up to the ball the same way that I did for almost 27 years of the 30-ish years I've been playing golf. Complete disaster for me. And the reason why is because this setup position requires one to move dynamically in flexion, lateral flexion, and rotation. Or you can create a poor adaptation called what I call the professional Quasimodo. What I did, I stood up at impact. When I initially played, I stood up and I sliced the ball, and then I still stood up and I learned how to roll my hands over, so I started to draw and then hook the ball. Still, the problem was standing up at impact. The fact that virtually no golfers are told to stand further away from the ball is the reason why I have this title, this subtitle underneath the actual title of the book, How PGA Professionals Unknowingly Prevent Amateurs from Breaking 80, 90, and 100. So I realized in end of 2019 that I started playing golf in 1995, and at the end of 2019 I realized that what I needed to do was go from this setup position to this setup position. What does that mean, actually? Do you have to do exactly what I did? Well, no. But what you can clearly see is that my arms are not hanging down from my shoulders the way we were all told to let our arms kind of hang down. So what should you do? What did I do? Very simply, I had to figure out at what distance from the ball, going from closest to furthest, would allow me to swing the club, not have my head rise above this line, reflecting standing up through impact, which is called early extension. So again, the fact that you have never been told this by a teaching pro is why they unknowingly hurt us. I mean, innocently, unknowingly. So if you're a teaching pro, just have people stand further back and you'll see how brutally obvious this is. Because a lot of people will argue, well, what do you know? You're a 7 handicap. What do I know? Well, here's what I know. I know that Nancy Lopez did it, and any teaching pro was never as good as Nancy Lopez. Well, I mean, some probably are, but like just very few. How about Bryson DeChambeau before he went full Hulk? He was all about mechanics. Notice his setup. Hands way further away from the ball so he could rotate through the ball much easier. The greatest of all time ball striker. How far did he stand away from the ball? Even farther with his hands. Mo Norman, the great Mo Norman. What about Jack Nicklaus? How close did he stand to the ball? Closer than this. But what I can tell you, one of the most feared competitors of the Nicklaus era was, for all the pros, including Nicklaus, was Lee Trevino. What was Lee Trevino's setup position looking like back when he was young and then older? Up, hands are further away from the ball. Notice shoulders, his hands are not here, his hands are out this way. Same thing here. Hands are not here. His hands are out this way. So clearly, Trevino standing further away from the ball than the traditional recommendation, and good luck finding a better ball striker. More than 5 better ball strikers than Lee Trevino, right? He's unbelievable. Well, how about Lee Trevino in 1974 when he won the British Open against Mr. Liu? Look at his hands. They were not hanging down. His hands were away from his body, which allows him to move through the ball. So he clearly identified the best, because no one taught Lee. He taught himself to do this. So his brain identified that this was the best position for his movement skills, right? He was not prescribed this by a teaching pro, which again is the problem with teaching pros. They don't understand this because they know how to play golf. They're not kinesiologists. So that's the great Lee Trevino standing further away from the ball. Here is Chichi Rodriguez when he was young. Look at his hands away from his thighs. When he got older, he's even further away. Well, why? Well, when you get older, you even rotate more poorly. I've seen a lot of PGA Tour guys who are not whose name you wouldn't recognize. They stand too close to the ball. now when they're 60, 70, 80, and they stand up through impact because they can't rotate. So everybody needs to identify what their proper distance from the ball is, which is a huge component of this book. So you need to figure out what it is for you. What is it for me? Somewhere between these two, and I'll show you. This is my setup position. This is my impact position. No standing up, no standing up at all. So let's look at it from address to the top to impact and then through impact. Now notice what I did here. I put arrows at the balls of my front foot, the left foot. And you can see my heels off the ground. I just did a video about keeping your heels flat at impact. I don't always keep it flat at impact. And I also mentioned in the video that you don't have to. The main thing is that you do not bear weight on the lead toe area, the lead forefoot as it's called. So you can see through impact, if I had too much weight on the balls of my feet, then I wouldn't be able to rotate the way I am there. So I'm not pushing off the back foot. The momentum of my body, of my upper body, my trunk, shoulders and arms and club are pulling me off the rear foot. That's how you want it to be. Now this is an amateur version. This is nothing impressive in terms of like elite status, not at all. However, compare my impact position to the impact position of most amateurs. So this is me, and I'm older than all these guys probably by 20 to 40 years. So this is a guy from Foreplay Golf. This is a guy who was playing golf with these two guys at Golficity. So the reason why I'm picking on these guys, not really picking, it's just that these guys, the Golficity guys and the Foreplay guys, they play with a lot of good players. They take lessons with a lot of good guys. And look what they all are doing. They're all up on their tippy toes. And the reason why is because golf teaching pros do not understand that you must set up to the ball based upon distance-wise, based upon your rotational movement skills, and amateurs need to be taught how to swing from their heels. There is no way around this. There is no way around this. So let me get rid of myself, and here we are looking at these four guys again, and I'm going to now focus on the Foreplay guy so I can show you his setup position. You see his arms are hanging down, just like he was told by all the pros to do that. And because he's too close to the ball for his rotational movements, because I mean, look, his hips are literally facing the ball as are his shoulders, and they're kind of right in line there. Because he has to stand up, because he's too close to the ball. So if he was to go online or go to a teaching pro who works on rear heel issues, he might run into this guy. What's his name? Eric Cogorno, who's a great ball striker. In a previous video I watched with this guy, he says that all good ball strikers, they roll out onto their lateral arch and pivot along their heel, or some language very similar to that. So he created a drill, and this is a common drill that a lot of these guys use. Club is supposed to stay where it is until after impact. And so he's standing on a lob wedge. So you strike the ball, and then after the ball strike, the club should fall. Well, for this guy, the club would fall long before he even reached impact because he's standing too close to the ball, which means that this drill is completely useless for this guy here. Almost every swing drill that teaching pros give us are useless as long as we're standing too close to the ball. And these guys just do not understand that because they're good players. They're not kinesiologists. I mean, in all seriousness, if you're a golf pro or you know any, how many of them have degrees in kinesiology or biology? Very few. I mean, very few, because that's not their interest, and no big deal. So what should they do? Have their students back up from the ball. That's what they need to have their students do. There's no way around it. So when you see videos like this that a teaching pro is going to do, he thinks it's a drill. Look, 3 easy drills to fix your leg work. Good luck with that. Never going to happen. It will never work for this guy because he's too close to the ball. So these are not swing drills for anybody. All they are, so here, I'll just read it. The fact that this pro can do it illustrates that the club drill, the swing drill, is not a drill. It is a skill. It reflects a movement skill. and the movement skills to be able to stand close to the ball with the arms hanging down from the shoulders perpendicular to the ground and rotationally move such that the heel stays flat at impact and only rises after a ball strike. That is a skill. It is not a drill. This guy cannot do that drill because it's not a drill, it's a skill. This, what I'm going to show you now, is a drill that works for all these guys. So these guys all have slightly different movement pathologies, right? So this guy goes tippy-toe way early. This guy's very steep through impact compared to, well, not so much different than this guy. This guy's so close he's chicken winging while standing up, and this guy's spinning. And you can have whole variations of all this. You can ignore all of these things, and all you need to do first, of course, is identify how far from the ball you need to stand at impact, and then do what I call the squatting driver drill. This is the rear view. Why would we do the squatting driver drill? Not to hit the ball far, to train your heel to stay on the ground through impact and to not lose your spine angle, which you do not lose if you do the squatting driver drill properly. So what should you do? First, go videotape your swing and look at yourself standing up. And then you can move right into doing the squatting driver drill. But when you set up to hit an actual shot, you've got to move back based upon your rotational movement skills. There's no way around it. You will never be able to strike the ball well and have proper leg and heel work if you're too close to the ball at address, because that will automatically, I mean, you could do this drill perfectly and still stand up at impact if you're too close to the ball for your movement skills. So you must move back. So this is the rear view of the drill. This is the front-on view of the drill, all described in the book and also in my other videos. And then, so we're going to take a look at these two images here so you can see the leg work. So I don't have this good leg work in my actual swing. I wish I did. But that's why I do the drill, to hopefully work it into my swing. Look at that great leg work. Beautiful. And he's standing up? Not at all. Not at all. And even have what they call lag, right? Look at, this isn't professional lag, but certainly most amateurs have already cast the club and they're down here, right? So much better lag creation. You don't have to buy special lag clubs. It's ridiculous. That lag club won't help you if you're standing too close to the ball. You just need to stand back from the ball for your rotational movement skills and then do these drills. So let's do the lateral lunge drill, the other drill I happened to come upon. I noticed at one point that pros looked like they were laterally lunging at impact. So I said to myself, well, I can't get there from my traditional setup position, so I will set up at the lateral lunge impact look, you know, the lateral lunge impact position. And then I will take it back, and let's see, I'll slightly rotate my hips back where his knee goes slightly in and then through the ball. Oh, by the way, down over here, you don't have to go all the way through follow through. This is just to show you how far your feet need to be apart. So, top of backswing, impact. Watch the left knee and the pelvis. So this whole thing here, this is the pelvis, right? See the movement? Perfect for me. Not nearly as dynamic as I would like it to be. But then the other thing too is once you get once your heels are flat and your pelvis is in proper position at impact, for a brief split second, boom, look at that. Didn't move but a teeny bit my pelvis. So for that split second, the arms fly by the body. This is a stable position through impact, which you can also train yourself to do with both the lateral lunge and the squatting driver drill. So let's look at Ryan Palmer. Now I'm picking Ryan Palmer because he is not an acrobat, and whenever he's playing well, and the announcers are commenting on Ryan's swing, they say Ryan has a swing that we should all emulate. Well, what does Ryan do? Look at Ryan's lateral lunge through the ball. You see how it looks almost identical. I mean, you got to squint a little bit, but you get the idea. Almost identical. Now look at my actual swing. When I put my actual swing next to his, and you'll see that it does not look nearly as dynamic as what I do with my lateral lunge or squatting driver drill because I haven't incorporated, my brain hasn't learned to use this good leg work from the drills into my actual swing. Look how less dynamic I look. Now I can tell you, if we back up here, you can see Ryan's trunk position is more this way, and from this drill, because I'm reaching for it at this point, I'm so wide, it's not like that. But my actual swing, you can see, staying back, as they say, just not nearly as dynamic, not even remotely as dynamic as the pros. Now you can see here with Ryan, he's on his medial arch, and he's on his lateral arch. Well, where am I? Flat and flat, right? I'm flat, he's dynamic. But it's much better to be flat than on your toes, as I showed you before with the amateurs from Foreplay and Golficity. So here's what you need to do to fix all of the swing flaws that compromise you in a general sense. I mean, not perfectly specific, right? So first you got to figure out what your setup position is for you so you do not stand up through impact. I've identified mine. Setup, impact. Clearly, that is fine. So if I was staying too close to the ball, once again, doing these drills would be useless because I would get back to the position where I have to stand up because I don't rotate that well. So first, figure out what your setup position should be so that you do not stand up through impact. Then work with the squatting driver drill, lateral lunge driver drill, and watch the rest of these videos. This one here is especially useful, swinging from the heels. You need to learn about hips because in actual fact, people don't realize this, is that there are no hip muscles that create the hip motion that you see in the golf swing. To even like an appreciation, a teeny bit, but very, 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 very minor, as you'll see in that book, in that video. And then the primary cause of extension, again, is standing too close to the ball. So I'd watch all these videos. It's not gonna take that long. You'll see how this will speak to your problem, because we amateurs do not have the movement skills that pros have. So we have to think about golf in a different fashion from a kinesiological perspective, a psychological perspective, and a neurobiological perspective, which I outline in detail in this book in simple layman's language. And you can head over to Amazon and put in the title of the book, and you can flip right through it. Very inexpensive, and the Kindle also very inexpensive. So check it out and work with the drills. But remember, you must find out what your proper setup distance from the ball is so that you do not stand up through impact.